Good evening, everyone. Good evening, councillors. Welcome to our council meeting. Welcome also to the members of the public that have joined us this evening, together with members of the security team. With so many of us in the room, I politely ask that we keep background noise to a minimum. Please note that this will be live streaming this meeting and have received notification by a member of the public of an intention to film this meeting. That member is not turned up, so if any of the member of the public attending this meeting objects to being filmed, please advise us immediately and we will ensure that you are not included in the filming. Before we start, I have a couple of housekeeping matters to draw your attention to. I will be using the cue to speak function. Therefore, please press your microphone button if you wish to speak during the debate to place yourselves in the queue. You have all been previously informed that due to a system error, the reports contained in your printed agenda packs are in the incorrect order to that listed on the agenda. To avoid confusion, I will state the page number to turn to at the start of the agenda item, where a discrepancy has arisen. Electronic versions of the agenda pack are in the correct order. Right, turning to the agenda. Item 1, minutes of the meeting. We have 2 sets of minutes to approve. One which I suggest we vote on their acceptance together. May I please have a proposer for approval of the minutes of the meeting held on the 26th of March 2024 and the minutes of the annual meeting held on the 14th of May 2024. Councillor Smith, can I have a seconder for approval of these minutes, please? Councillor Brown? Are there any comments on the minutes before we move on to the vote? Councillor Hind.
Thank you very much, Chair. Yes, it's just page 7, item E on the leader's statement questions. I think it was from Councillor Glossop, and I just wanted to say it mentions 3 places, but I'm sure I recall Susan mentioning Moyses Hall, and it didn't get mentioned in the minutes. That's what I thought, but I just wanted to say it's not complete. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Hind. I will now take a vote. Members, please do raise your hand clearly in the air so that we can see it to count it. Those in favour? Okay.
Yep, those against?
Anyone against? No. Thank you very much. That is carried. The minutes of the meeting held on 26th of March and 14th of May are confirmed as accurate records.
Subject to the slight amendment.
Subject to the slight amendment. Okay. Thank you very much. Item 2, my announcements. You have noted the list of engagements and events that the Vice Chair and I have undertaken since our election on the 14th of May. Other than the Green Mind, which we had just before, I'd like to highlight the D-Day. It was very moving, and I started at 11 a.m. in the morning and finished at 10 p.m. at night, and it was really lovely talking to the servicemen. Thank you very much. Item 3, apologies for absence, please, Treasurer. I invite the monitoring officer to make any announcements and inform the apologies of absence received. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. We've received apologies for absence from Councillors Richard Alcock, Peter Armitage, Andy Neal, Sarah Broughton, Sarah Pugh, Karen Richardson, Karen Soons, Sarah Stamp, and Kevin Yarrow. Sorry. Sorry. Sarah Stamp is here.
Okay. Right. Thank you, Teresa. I will invite the Chair of West Suffolk Standards Committee, Councillor Dicker, to speak.
Point of order, please.
Yes? Councillor Hood?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I apologise for raising this, but it was brought to my attention in the pre-meeting that there was going to be something raised, and it's not on the agenda. So I've communicated along with the leader of our group with the officer. And I have to say, I've been a councillor since 2011, and I've never seen anything raised at a council meeting that is not listed on the agenda. So I'm concerned, and I think that is a point of order.
Okay. I'll pass to Teresa to answer that.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, item 3 is apologies for absence and any announcements made by the officer. And on this occasion, the announcement is going to be made by the Chair of the West Suffolk Standards Committee. So it does say that in the agenda as well.
Is it on that point?
Yes, it's exactly
on that. Right.
But, and again, I only heard about this in our pre-meeting. I understand that there's going to be an announcement from the standards of some sort, and that then there is an expectation of the people that's connected with making statements or something along those lines. And I simply don't understand how that can be done on when it's not on the agenda. The monitoring officer and I, the monitoring officer has explained to me her view, but with the greatest of respect, I don't accept it. I just simply don't understand how you can have something like this not on an agenda, and I think that's ultra vires.
Teresa?
So officers' announcements aren't on the agenda. It's listed at item 3 that it's to receive announcements, if any, from the officer advising the chair, including apologies for absence.
And on exactly the same point, there is then, it's one thing to make an announcement, even though it's not on the list, but there is an expectation of action from a councillor or two councillors in this case. Apparently, I don't know any detail, but I'm concerned about something being dealt with by this council when it's not on the agenda. And if there was an announcement, it should have been under item 2, the chair's announcement, I believe. And secondarily, if a councillor is expected to respond, I just don't accept that that can happen when it's not on the agenda, and it could be extrapolated to other issues. So I personally think it's ultra vires.
I note your point of order. I disagree. There's no expectation for members to respond. They will be invited to, but there's no expectation for them to.
Can we stop now? Sorry, that's we're just going over old ground. So, well, the monitoring officer disagrees with you. Okay, so you've got to bear that in mind. Please.
It's not that there is no expectation. Seemingly, there is an expectation of a response from a councillor. And if I was that councillor, and actually I don't exactly know who these people are, but if I was that councillor, I would expect something to be on the agenda. So if the record can reflect that, because I think that...
The record is noted.
Going on. Thank you.
The record is noted. Okay. Right, Councillor Dicker.
Mr. Chairman, if I first of all just explain that the West Suffolk Standards Committee consists of 3 Conservative members, 2 independent members and 2 Progressive Alliance members. On the 22nd of April 2024, the West Suffolk Standards Committee met to consider the Monitoring Officer's report and the view of an independent person to determine whether Councillor Andy Drummond of West Suffolk Council had breached the Suffolk Code of Conduct. In considering the evidence, the committee was unanimous in finding Councillor Drummond in breach of the following codes. As a councillor, 1.2, I treat local authority employees and representatives of partner organisations and those volunteering for the local authority with respect and respect the role they play. 2.1, I do not bully any person. 2.3, I promote equalities and do not discriminate unlawfully against any person. 4.1b, I do not disclose information acquired by me which I believe or ought reasonably to be aware is of a confidential nature, unless I have received the consent of a person authorised to give it. I am required by law to do so. The disclosure is made to a third party for the purpose of obtaining professional legal advice, provided that the third party agrees not to disclose the information to any other person. Or the disclosure is reasonable and in the public interest and made in good faith and in compliance with the reasonable requirements of the local authority and has consulted the monitoring officer prior to its release. 5.1, I do not bring my role or local authority into disrepute. And finally, 6.1, I do not use or attempt to use my position improperly to the advantage or disadvantage of myself or anyone else. The committee considered this to be a serious breaches of the Suffolk Code of Conduct and therefore imposed the following sanctions. That Councillor Drummond write a letter of apology to the 3 complainants and the data subject. Such letter to be approved by the monitoring officer and sent via the Director for Planning and Growth. That the committee will report its findings in respect of Councillor Drummond's conduct to the next ordinary meeting of Council and for Councillor Drummond to apologise to Council for the breach. That the committee will release a statement about Councillor Drummond's conduct to the media. That a copy of the decision notice is submitted to Councillor Drummond's group leader with a recommendation that he is removed from the Development Control Committee for the remainder of the current administration. That a recommendation is made to Councillor Drummond's group leader that he is removed from the Local Plan Working Group for the remainder of the current administration. Thank you.
Thank you. I call upon Councillor Drummond. Do you wish to speak? Yes, you can speak.
I would like to apologise to the council. I can't go into the detail of exactly what happened. You'll have to, wonder about what happened. But essentially, it goes back to last November.
Can I stop you there?
Yeah, you can.
Because, as I say,
Well, I feel I need to
I
explain
think
myself.
you've done. I know, but we've done the apology, and
Okay, right.
we
we'll
don't
leave it at
really
that then.
want to go back to what's happened at the Standards Committee, because really that is private. So if you really understand what I'm saying, it's we've accepted. Obviously, you've done your apology,
Okay.
and I think that's enough.
Okay, thank you. Well, I obviously want.
Your microphone.
If you don't want it,
Your microphone's gone off. Right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Councillor Dicker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the 13th of May 2024, the West Suffolk Standards Committee, in consideration of the Monitoring Officer's report, which included the Investigating Officer's report and supporting evidence, and the view of the independent person, determined that by his actions, Councillor Nick Clark has breached the following codes of the Suffolk Code of Conduct. As a councillor, 1.1, I treat others, councillors and members of the public with respect. 2.1, I do not bully any person. 2.2, I do not harass any person. 4.1b, I do not disclose information acquired by me which I believe or ought reasonably to be aware is of a confidential nature. 5.1, I do not bring my role or local authority into disrepute. 6.1, I do not use or attempt to use my position improperly to the advantage or disadvantage of myself or anyone else. The committee has imposed the following sanctions on Councillor Clark, being satisfied that they are reasonable, proportionate and relevant to his conduct. Firstly, that Councillor Clark be removed from his seat on the Officer Appointments Committee. 2, that Councillor Clark write a letter of apology to each of the complainants, such letter to be approved by the Chair of the West Suffolk Standards Committee. 3, that the committee will report its findings in respect of Councillor Clark's conduct at the next ordinary meeting of Council, and for Councillor Clark to apologise to Council for the breaches. That after the next ordinary meeting of Council, the committee will release a statement about Councillor Clark's conduct to the media. That a copy of the notice is submitted to the Chair of the West Suffolk Conservative Group with a recommendation that Councillor Clark is removed from the position of Group Leader. That a copy of the decision notice is submitted to the Deputy Leader of the West Suffolk Conservative Group. Thank you.
Councillor Clark, do you wish to speak?
Thank you. I have nothing to say.
Okay, we'll move on to item 4. Declarations of interest. I would like to remind members of their responsibility to declare any interest no later than when the agenda item is reached. Are there any interests that wish to be declared now? No? Okay, thank you very much. Item 5. Public participation. A total time is allocated of 30 minutes. We have one person registered to speak, and that is Mr. Paul Hoffensberger. Welcome. You have 5 minutes to put your previously registered question, which is to be put and answered within a total of 5 minutes allocation. Thank you, Mr. Hoffensberger.
West Suffolk Council is currently being run by a minority administration, in fact by the smallest political group on the council. When I left office in May 2023 after 20 years service, I did so knowing that the people of Bury St Edmunds were going to be getting a brand new state-of-the-art 8-lane competitive swimming pool, or so I thought. This unelected Labour-controlled administration with no political mandate then proceeded to blow £8 million of council taxpayers' money on abandoning the incredible and ambitious Western Way project, which also left Bury St Edmunds without a location for its records office. Unbelievably, this administration then had the audacity to blame Suffolk County Council for this. We have a 50-year-old swimming facility which has never been fit for purpose since it was built. And I say this as someone who has swum for Bury St Edmunds, Suffolk and Great Britain, and who has had to travel as far away as Crystal Palace to ensure that we trained in world-class facilities. Item 10 on today's agenda now proposes to blow a further £8.36 million on patching up, bodging this 50-year-old dinosaur of a swimming pool, which will still leave it unfit for purpose. It's only 6 lanes wide and it can never be fit for purpose, whatever you do to it. So that's over £16 million of council taxpayers' money wasted. The people of Bury St Edmunds deserve better than this, much, much better. So I have to ask, why does this administration think it is right to deprive the people of Bury St Edmunds a new fit-for-purpose swimming pool when other parts of West Suffolk have been given brand new swimming facilities, and doing so without any consultation to the many people who use it, especially the biggest user of this pool, West Suffolk Swimming Club, who spend thousands of pounds per year in rent to train in this antiquated facility. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Waterman, would you like to respond?
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. I would. Thank you very much, Mr. Hovensberger, for your statement and question. Can I just correct some of the things you've said, which might be misleading? First of all, West Suffolk Council is currently being run by a majority administration, which is the West Suffolk Working Partnership. And that partnership is made up of two equal groups of 19 members, one of which is the Progressive Alliance, which itself is made up of Labour, Lib Dem and Green councillors, and the other being the Independent Group, which is made up of the entire group of independent councillors on the council. It's disappointing that I'm having to repeat those simple facts of the makeup of the administration because they have been repeatedly repeated over the last year and a half. Coming to the substantive part of your question, first of all, I don't recognise the £8 million that you've referenced. The decision on Western Way and any associated abortive costs were reported and debated and agreed at the council meeting in September last year. The report at tonight's meeting is about investing in the existing Bury Leisure Centre, and this is in line with similar investment made to other leisure centres in the district. Councillor Shipp will be presenting that report to us, and I'm excited about what it will deliver for a wide range of our residents. Thank you, Chair.
Right, thank you very much. That concludes this item. Thank you for attending, Mr. Offenberger, and you are welcome to remain in the public gallery to observe the rest of the proceedings if you wish. Yes, you do. You have 1 minute to go.
This is for Councillor Shipp. Councillor Shipp, you know in your heart of hearts that this council's proposal is so totally wrong. The last thing you said to me at my last full council last year was, what are we going to do to ensure we get a bigger pool? You have seriously let the people of Bury St Edmunds down, and I say shame on you, shame on you.
Councillor, do you want to reply to that? So, Councillor, do you want to reply to that? Sorry, I switched off.
Yeah. I'll just reiterate what Councillor Waterman has said, that the project is in line with refurbishments at other leisure centres across West Suffolk and is affordable and will remain affordable. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that. Item 6. This is leader's statement. Members may ask the leader questions on the content of the leader's statement or on any council matter. 5 minutes is allowed for each question to be asked and answered. The leader may invite responses from the portfolio holders. There is a maximum time allocated of 30 minutes for this item. I invite Councillor Waterman, Leader of the Council, to introduce his statement.
Many thanks, Chair. As most people in the room will have noticed, we've just had a general election and we now have a new government and a new Prime Minister. Some of us will think that's the best news in a long time, and others will be asking themselves what went wrong and hoping Keir Starmer has as short a tenure as the last 4 Prime Ministers had. Whichever group you're in, I hope you will join me in saying a massive thank you to our staff for their part in running a smooth election process for the 2 constituencies covered by our council. Also, well done to everyone who took part in the democratic process and had the courage of their convictions to step into the public arena, whether they were successful or not. And just to note in passing that we had 8 candidates in both constituencies, which I think may be a record, I'm not sure. We now have 2 new MPs, and I've already written to both of them to welcome them. I'd like to develop a closer working relationship with them than was possible before, we can seize the opportunities we have in West Suffolk if we work together. I'm pleased to see that the Prime Minister has put the politics of public service high on his agenda. This is the way that West Suffolk Council operates, with all of us working together for the benefit of our communities. To this end, I'm planning on travelling to London on Thursday for the first meeting between council leaders and the new Minister for Housing, Communities and Local Government. I'm pleased that the new government is taking their promise to devolve all power to councils seriously. This is something councils of all stripes, all political makeups, will welcome. On a similar note, I'd like to say welcome to the newly elected leader of the Conservative group. Councillor Hoffensberger and I have already started working together on a number of things, and I'm looking forward to the resumption of regular group leader meetings between Councillors Lukanic, Smith, Hoffensberger and the Chief Executive, and, if they feel they would like me to attend their meetings, myself. Tonight's agenda is a crowded one, and so I'll keep my comments in this part of the evening brief. You may think they could be briefer, but I'll leave that to you to decide. However, I would like to welcome the investments we're proposing in both Olding Road and the Bury Leisure Centre. These schemes have been thought through with partners to get the best outcomes for our residents while being fiscally sound in a time of severe budget pressures on public services. Together, these initiatives show us delivering on our strategic priorities of thriving communities and sustainable growth. These plans together represent a £15 million investment in leisure and recreational services and bring community and economic benefits. It especially helps young people and fits in with the facilities surrounding them, such as the college, the skate park and the STEM centre. It's an investment in the leisure centre to not only bring it up to par, but to make welcome improvements too, in partnership with Abbeycroft and users of the site. While the Olding Road improvements will stop an ongoing cost of £300,000 per annum to taxpayers and solve historic issues such as the roof and fuel contamination. I'm sorry to have to tell you, it won't solve the problem of seagull. Crucially, it will create a flexible space that already a company is wanting to house their business in. I'd like to thank Councillors Shipp and Hind for all their hard work bringing these projects forward. At this point, I feel I should mention the Sonica solar farm. While the Council welcomes the Government's plans to work at pace to tackle climate change, I wanted to put on the record the disappointment felt by some at the decision to support the building of the Sonica solar farm. There were clear concerns put forward about the scale, location and safety of this development. Yet, despite sitting ready on the Minister's desk for many months, the previous government couldn't find the courage to announce the decision. The Deputy Leader, Councillor Lukanic, and I have already been in discussions with the campaign against the solar farm, along with the leaders of the other interested local authorities. We had already agreed some actions, and these will now be brought forward more quickly. In particular, if the development does go ahead, we must be ready to reap the benefits it could bring in terms of employment, business rates and economic development. Look forward now to next week. West Suffolk Council will be undergoing our first ever Local Government Association Corporate Peer Challenge. And I want to thank all the group leaders, first of all, for their support in the creation of the position statement, which I think every member has had emailed out to them. This highlights the great achievements that have been made in the last 10 years and areas we would like further focus on. The aim of a peer review is always how we can improve, and we look forward to their help in achieving this. I feel confident that we as a council are well run and serve our communities well, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity of showing our peers all the good work that we do individually and collectively. And I know many of you will be able to give your views to the peers as well. Let me move on now to thriving communities. Last week saw the joint announcement with Suffolk County Council that residents in Newmarket look set to benefit from a £4 million investment in new sports facilities. This includes talking to local sports and community groups in Newmarket about how to best use the funding to improve sports facilities. The investment could see new facilities built on land owned by Suffolk County Council at the rear of the former St Felix Middle School site, adjacent to the George Lampton playing fields, creating a hub for sporting activity in the community. Any plans will be subject to formal agreement reached by both councils and any necessary planning permission and consents being sought and granted. I know Councillor Shipp has been meeting groups already, and I would also like to thank all Newmarket councillors for championing this initiative with their continued support. Can I now move on to something I've got personal experience of, which is Crucial Crew? Not as a primary school student, I have to say. Crucial Crew is a West Suffolk Council initiative which puts primary school students into controlled situations so they can understand what to do in real life situations, and helps to develop their confidence and resilience. Since it was launched in the mid-1990s, Crucial Crew has helped 2 generations of young people learn skills to help keep them safe and deal with some of the modern day issues that they will come across. In one of my former roles as a cyclist training officer, I've helped put on some of the workshops myself, and I know how much the children enjoy the sessions and how much they benefit from them. This year, just under 700 pupils from across 24 West Suffolk primary schools have taken part in the latest Crucial Crew held over June and July. The programme is coordinated by West Suffolk Council as part of our strategic priority for thriving communities and delivered by a range of public sector and charity partners. Councillor Higgins is overseeing substantial development in the work we do with young people, as seen in this project. It's been the first time since COVID that this could be once again run in person, and I'm delighted to see so many young people take part from across the district. Moving on, if I may, to look at environmental sustainability, Cabinet heard the significant benefits our £1 million decarbonisation initiatives fund is making, and the launch of a new scheme to help even more local projects create environmental sustainability. We've worked alongside parish and town councils to convert their streetlights to light-emitting diode lanterns using the fund. Among the latest to take up this initiative is Brandon Town Council, who are using the fund to convert over 400 lights. The new LED lanterns are expected to save around 120 tonnes of carbon dioxide or CO2 a year across the district. With the addition of the streetlights already converted and covered by the retrospective grants, the combined CO2 savings from the scheme will be over 200 tonnes a year, a substantial amount. In addition to the environmental gains, taxpayers will also benefit from considerable energy cost savings, typically over 70%. Switching over 1,600 town and parish council-owned streetlights to LED lanterns represents a crucial advance in cutting energy use and reducing carbon emissions, as well as lowering costs for taxpayers. At its meeting on Tuesday, the 9th of July, Councillor Kelly asked Cabinet to agree a follow-on grant scheme for the remaining balance of the Decarbonisation Initiative Fund, which is likely to come to over £200,000 once all street lighting grants have been paid. This next grant scheme will allow other communities working alongside their West Suffolk Ward Councillor to make bids to decarbonise other community assets by September 2024 and will be publicised later in the summer. I urge all of you to take advantage of this great scheme, and please do keep an eye out for the announcement of the way that will work. I was promised gin, but it's only water. Sad. Moving on now to green flags. I'm pleased to say that today we can publicly say West Suffolk Council's investment in parks to support people's physical and mental health, the environment and the economy has once again been recognised nationally. All 6 of the council's parks, Apsall Close Nature Reserve in Beck Row, Brandon Country Park, East Town Park in Haverhill, Weststow Country Park, Nowton Park, and of course the Abbey Gardens in Bury St Edmunds have today been awarded green flag status. This is just in time for the start of Keep Britain Tidy Love Parks Week on Friday, the 26th of July. It's the 5th year in a row that all 6 parks have achieved this status, a recognised national quality mark for parks and green spaces. Parks and open spaces play a role, as we heard earlier, in mental health and in particular our own delivery our own strategic priorities for thriving communities, environmental resilience and sustainable growth. Good news. Good news on the Bury St Edmunds bid. We welcome the decision voted for by the bid business members for our Bury St Edmunds to continue for the next 5 years. Indeed, they had an increased majority. This recognises the role the bid has played in championing local businesses, which in turn supports our strategic priorities to encourage sustainable growth and thriving communities. Anyone who visits Bury St Edmunds can see from the many events, campaigns and support for local business the dedication the bid has to the town and its continued success. And I'm sure we all very much welcome that. And I can see nods all around the room. Cornhill and the old post office. Last week saw the announcement that an independent cafe is to open its doors before the end of the year at the old post office in Bury St Edmunds after agreeing terms with us. The new cafe will specialise in selling locally sourced foods with a majority sourced from East Anglia. So I very much look forward to that being opened. And if any of you, like me, have had to go and queue up for ages in some of the existing cafes, it can only be a good thing that we've got another one opening. Can I move on to Haverhill, our second town and the fourth biggest town in Suffolk? I'm very pleased to see that delivery of initiatives in Haverhill, especially addressing issues around the town centre, are moving ahead at pace. But I know we can do more, and certainly will want local councillors to be part of that planning. Work to help bring adult learning to Provincial House, which of course we own, is moving ahead with the college, and Cabinet members, Councillors Hind and Wijanayaka, toured the works last week to see what will be in place. This represents a £2 million investment that not only helps adult learners access and attain new skills and job opportunities, but also supports footfall in the high street. While there, I know the councillors also went to see the council's latest acquisition. This is the former Stourview Medical Centre and was bought as part of our strategic priority for sustainable growth, including the regeneration of Haverhill Town Centre. We're already speaking to partners about potential uses of the site, especially public sector providers, with the aim of bringing services and people closer to the town centre. I know Haverhill members have long been united in their desire to see improvements to the high street. This desire is strongly shared by Cabinet, who are keen to press ahead with improvements. I've asked Councillor Wijanayaka to meet with local members and the Town Council to finalise the brief which will guide consultants. We've allocated £35,000 from the Investing in Growth Fund to commission consultants to design improvements which will build on the Town Centre master plan and the feedback from surveys with the community and stakeholders when the High Street was closed during COVID-19. The study will also explore revitalising vacant spaces with initiatives such as temporary or so-called meanwhile use to support local businesses. As always, I invite local members to take every opportunity to engage in this where appropriate in bringing forward and delivering meaningful plans that make a real difference to Haverhill. This will mean everyone playing their part and working in partnership to deliver on this opportunity. As ever, there's too much happening to include it all in this brief overview. However, I'll just mention that the local plan continues on its journey to adoption, thanks in no small part to the work done by Councillor Thorndike as the Cabinet member with the planning portfolio. Equally, another major piece of work is the development of the new simpler recycling requirements, ably led by Councillor Taylor. Councillor O'Driscoll is leading the development of the Council's new housing and homelessness approach, which has already involved exhaustive consultation. As you can see, the whole Cabinet has rolled up their sleeves, and I thank them on your behalf for all the hard work they're doing. I'll just finish by saying to all councillors, and I've got this written up on the whiteboard in my office, you change lives for the better every single day. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for the leader on part A of the leader's statement? Councillor Mason, then Councillor Drummond and Councillor Clark. Councillor Mason.
Thank you, Chair. I don't know where to begin. I've got quite a few things, and I fear it may come across as a little bit rambling. Certainly, you mentioned the local plan. I feel it's incumbent on me to just mention the excellent work of Councillor Roach, who had worked so hard previously on that. I'm sure his fingerprint rather, is all over that, and I certainly know he put a lot of effort into that. The Stour View Medical Centre, absolutely welcome that strategic purchase. I'd like to thank Councillor Hind. There was a rather impromptu video call, and I really appreciated the opportunity with another member, Councillor Carini, to just give some input into whether that was a good purchase or not. I really welcome when Cabinet are really, really proactive, and I think that was a good purchase. What I would say is we have had a number of properties that should not remain vacant longer than we possibly want. I mean, I certainly know of one community group that is desperately looking, and I seriously hope that Cabinet and members will seriously consider finding, if not a permanent, but a temporary solution, and so that it's not vacant for longer than it needs to be. Of course, the HSBC Bank remains empty on the High Street. I welcome with some excitement Provincial House. I've seen a number of press releases. Although at 1 Haverhill, which I didn't feel was particularly well represented, there was a comment that the existing master plan is no longer fit for purpose, and I'd certainly encourage Cabinet and Councillor Wojciechowska to have a look at whether the town master plan in Haverhill actually needs to be revisited, and so it's not just the town centre, but it becomes a town master plan. That seemed to be the opinion that was quite widely had. As regards Provincial House, of course, that project started, and Councillor Susan Glossop did some outstanding work preparing that, and it's quite nice to see the baton that was handed over, and the new administration managing to take that over the line. My main frustration, though, was at markets, and I recognise, Councillor Waterman, the energy and the excitement that you're bringing, and I don't criticise the measures that you're bringing in, £300,000 for 3 years. Let's hope it's money well spent and we can see a difference. I had a look at the briefing papers. My main concern is, and I know Councillor Andy Neil had done some excellent work doing some analysis on this. The 13 months have been wasted sitting on an old market review, and we didn't really need another market review. And I'm not entirely sure the new market review has added anything substantively to what was previously known. And so whilst I recognise some injection of energy, it's kind of too late for 2024. Market traders needed this at the beginning of the year. And, in terms of Haverhill Market, I don't know if any Cabinet members are aware of how many stalls there were on Haverhill Market this Saturday. I certainly know a number of Haverhill councillors are here because I see them down the market. I can see across the chamber there are members here who are passionate about Haverhill Market. But I'm not entirely convinced that the metric of how many units are empty or how many stalls there are is actually known by the council. For the record, just 3 stalls. It doesn't really count as a market. And regarding empty units, there's 11 or 14 if you count doubles as separate units, which on a small high street is actually quite devastating. So for me, it feels too late. I'm not going to reject it because I think, £300,000, some initiative, some drive, but it's at the wrong time of the year, and this should have been delivered much earlier in the year. And for me, it just feels that it's an opportunity wasted. And talking to the high street shops, I don't think they feel particularly listened. And then anecdotally, not even particularly treated very well. And, the notion that an officer is coming over from Mildenhall in a vehicle to collect a pitch fee in cash when it could be done electronically doesn't seem particularly efficient. I seriously hope this energy and investment makes a difference, but you've yet to win me over. My frustrations have been going on for many months. It feels like it's too late for 2024. Let's hope that it can make a difference and we can see an improvement. Thank you.
Councillor Drummond? Oh, Councillor Walton, do you wish to reply?
Yes, please. I won't try and tackle every single point you made, Councillor Mason. But first of all, I would like to acknowledge, as you say, the enormous contribution Councillor Roach made to the emerging local plan. And equally, I'd like to thank Councillor Glossop for the work she did on purchasing Provincial House, which I do remember when it first came up to council, how supportive the whole council was of what I think was a very, very wise and a very strategic purchase. So thank you, Councillor Glossop. What else? Frustration over the markets. Yes. I mean, I think we all are frustrated over the state of Haverhill Town Centre and the markets. We are acting. I suppose if I was going to be snarky, I could say, well, okay, it may have taken us 13 months, but what did the previous administration do? But I won't. What I will say is that I wish we would stop talking Haverhill down. I make a point every single place I go of pointing out that Haverhill is the 4th largest town in Suffolk. It's a substantial place, it's a growing place, it's a thriving place, it has its problems. But if you look at the statistics, the number of vacant units in Haverhill is actually below the national average. That's not to say that we should be complacent and accept that, but we have to understand that a lot of those vacancies are caused by the owners of those properties, which is outside of our control. And if they carry on charging exorbitant rents, which traders aren't willing or able to pay, those shops will remain empty. We are doing our best to acquire assets in Haverhill, as you've acknowledged with the Sourview clinic. So I think I'll stop there. I may not have answered every single point you made, Joe, but I do welcome your passion for Haverhill, and I know that's shared not just by other Haverhill members, but it certainly is shared by the Cabinet, and I'm sure it's shared by the whole Council. Thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much. Councillor Drummond? I see we've got quite a lot of names here, so try and be brief as you possibly can. Councillor Drummond.
Yeah, I'm ready. So my question is, I suspect the majority of members of the council would welcome a judicial review into the decision made by the Secretary of State for Energy Security and Net Zero to approve the Sonica solar farm. Would he support a free vote on this matter? Thank you.
Councillor Walton?
Certainly, Councillor Lucanik and I have made the first steps towards working with the other local authorities affected. And my understanding is that the only way we can challenge that decision is through a judicial review. My understanding as well is that there are a number of potential problems with that approach. The first of which is the cost, and the second of which is that as a mechanism for changing, as we saw with the previous administration, government decisions, it's not necessarily very effective. However, having said that, if our partner councils feel a judicial review is the way to go, I'd be more than happy to bring it to council for council to decide whether we should go ahead with that. The only thing I'll say is it may be that given the timescales, that won't be possible. But certainly I would not do anything to stop a potential judicial review going ahead if it seemed in any way productive or likely to be successful. So thank you.
Right, I've Councillor Clark, Councillor Ball, Councillor Rout and Councillor Major. I think possibly, we've only got 5 minutes left, so I can't have any more, I'm sorry. I'll Councillor Clark next to speak, please.
Thank you. On page 26, item 5, at the top of the page, references the involvement of local members, and in particular Clare and the car park, and I thank you for that. And I think the people of Clare thank you for offering your weight behind this project. Now, I've worked tirelessly with my other local members and David Taylor to bring this forward, but it feels like it's stalled. We know what's got to be done. I could tell you all now if I had longer than 5 minutes. But the difference is now, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, I think. I've managed to get all the various groups in alignment as to where it should go, how it should go, and we're short of a few bob that I suspect will need to come from West Suffolk Council. And if we can do that, if you've got your cabinet support for that, then I would really welcome it, because I don't think we're going to get another opportunity for a very long time if this slips away, and it feels like it might be.
Councillor Waterman?
Yeah, thanks very much, Councillor Clark. As you know, there have been logistic problems with this. There is no reason, if we can overcome those, that it shouldn't go ahead, and I'd be very happy if it does. And I welcome your continued work to bring it to fruition with Councillor Taylor. So thank you.
Councillor Ball?
Given the time constraints, I'm happy to sit this one out and pass it on to the next person. Okay.
Thank you very much, Councillor Ball. Councillor Rout?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I note that the leader's comments about the Sonica decision and share his frustration around that, and also that you won't stand in the way of a judicial review. I wondered if the leader would go further and this evening commit to instructing his officers and legal counsel to establish what grounds, if any, there are in their opinion for a judicial review.
Councillor Waterman?
Thanks very much. That has already been done, Councillor Rout. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Councillor Major?
Right. Thank you very much indeed for that. I just have two quick questions, please, to the leader's statement. The local plan is mentioned on page 27 and the increase in delivery of houses and affordable houses. I just wonder whether we could have a quick update how we are getting on with building the more than sort of 820 houses we used to deliver a year. And my second question is, we're talking about thriving communities, we're talking about investments in Alding Way, and again, I have had many letters from my residents in Moreton Hall being very aggrieved by the lack of swimming pool facilities they now have. And on that particular point, of course, I note that in going forward, we in Suffolk are now going to have 5, if not 15% less swimming pool facilities provided by the current administration. I just wonder whether or not we couldn't try to be a little bit more aspirational for the people of Moreton Hall and Suffolk than we currently are. Thank you.
Chair, can I answer that?
Yes, Councillor Waterman.
Okay, I don't want to assume I can answer if you don't give me permission. Thanks very much, Councillor Major. I don't know how many houses we've delivered this year, but I'll ask the appropriate officers to give you a written answer to that. Certainly my aspiration is that we build more. I'm hoping the new government is true to its word, and its aspiration is to build 1.5 million new homes in the first 5-year term. I hope very much that West Suffolk Council is an active partner in achieving that excellent aim. Alding Road, swimming pools. As far as I know, Moreton Hall has 3 swimming pools, I'm told. And I don't recognise your percentage loss of swimming pools. If anything, we're getting a new one because David Lloyd are building one just round the corner. I know the one at Moreton Hall, at Sports Direct one, has closed. I have to say, as an ex-user of it, it was pretty disgusting. And when it closed, I'd stopped being a member because I was sick to death of the quality of it. So I don't personally think it was a great loss. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. We have got Part B to discuss. We've only got 5 minutes left, or less than 5 minutes. Is there any questions to the leader on Part B at all?
No, Chair.
No? Right, thank you very much. Item 7, referrals, reports of recommendations from the Cabinet. Part A, referrals from the Cabinet, 21st of May 2024. There are no referrals emanating from the meeting of the Cabinet held on 21st of May 2024. Part B, referrals from the Cabinet on the 9th of July 2024. This referral was compiled before the decision was taken by Cabinet and is based on the recommendations contained within the report. I can confirm there are no amendments were made by the Cabinet to this recommendation. Item 7B1, a local code of corporate governance. I call upon Councillor Hine to introduce this item and move the motion.
Thank you, Chair. Good governance is important in all we do, and following updated guidance from relevant professional bodies, our local code of corporate governance has been revised to ensure that it is effective, transparent and relevant. This revised draft local code was produced following a review of the Council's existing governance arrangements in detail and evaluating how these arrangements should be demonstrated in the local code. In accordance with current guidance, the revised local code gives a greater emphasis to how the Council applies the principles of good governance and complies with good practice. There is a statutory requirement for the Council to produce an annual governance statement each year, which sets out how we have complied with the local code and worked to strengthen our governance arrangements over the year. I'd like to thank the Performance and Audit Scrutiny Committee for considering the local code of governance last meeting, along with their recommendation for its adoption to Council tonight. I would like to move the recommendation, please, Chair.
Thank you. Who wishes to second the motion? Councillor Stennett?
And reserve my right to speak.
Okay. Right, is there any who wishes to speak on this item at all? Is there anyone? No?
Back to Councillor Stennett.
Oh, okay, Councillor Stennett, do you wish to speak?
Seeing that nobody else wishes to speak, I'm quite happy to go to the vote on the motion.
Okay. Councillor Hine, do you wish to say anything further?
No, thank you, Chair.
Thanks for that. Thank you. I will now take the vote. All those in favour, please show. Anyone against? Okay, thank you very much. Any abstentions? No. That's carried. Thank you very much. Item 8, housing related support. I call upon Councillor Driscoll to introduce this item and move the motion.
Chair, and good evening to everybody. Housing related support plays an important role in enabling vulnerable individuals to live independently. It also reduces the risk of homelessness and other crises that people may face. The recent decision by Suffolk County Council to reduce the budget was made on the grounds of financial necessity. It was not a judgment on the effectiveness of the services involved. However, the consequences of losing such a large proportion of the budget, and that's some 60%, is to place the services affected at risk of closure. Through the Suffolk Housing Board, all district and borough councils have worked very closely with Suffolk County Council to try to find a way forward to mitigate the worst effects of the budget cut. The outcome is the approach outlined in the paper. Suffolk County Council will commission services for individuals where they have a statutory responsibility. West Suffolk Council will seek to commission aligned services that we believe will have the most positive impact on the areas for which we have responsibility. The proposal allows for flexibility in the discussions with service providers to achieve the greatest benefits for our residents. The paper also recognises the importance of reviewing supported housing options available to homeless people, as this funding is due to cease in March 25. I commend the report to the Council and I propose that the recommendations are supported in their entirety. Thank you.
Who wishes to second the motion? Councillor Savage?
Yes, I'd like to second this motion, please.
Thank you. Who wishes to speak on this item at all? Councillor Higgins?
Thank you. I am heard, yes. One of the thing that actually jumped out of me was the comment on page 37 that said 9 out of 10 of the residents that are in receipt of housing support suffer at least one health condition or disability. And then it goes on to list some of the things that they can suffer from. Half of them are experiencing more than one of these conditions. Quite apart from the fact that it is actually pragmatic, I think, for this council, given that some of these people could end up homeless and that we would have responsibility for finding accommodation for them, I think it is the responsibility of us to take care of our residents. And a thriving community cannot exist while our most vulnerable people have not got some measure of care taken over them. So I would urge the council to pass this, please.
Thank you. Councillor, wish to respond?
No. Councillor Wakeham.
Oh, it's Councillor Wakeham first. Sorry. To you. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. I know that we have a duty to accommodate 16 to 17-year-olds. I have a particular concern about young people leaving care. Through my work at West Suffolk College, we've become increasingly aware of numbers of these presenting with homelessness. I know we don't have a statutory duty to house them, but I would urge, as part of this service, that we look carefully at young people leaving care and see if there is something we can do for them through this service. Thank you.
Councillor Driscoll?
Yes, thank you. Thank you to Councillor Higgins and to Councillor Wakeham. I think it's really important going forward that we work very closely with our colleagues in the County Council in particular. Care leavers are of interest to all of us. We are all corporate parents. But I think additionally, I think the linkage with homelessness and other crises that's set out in the paper, I think is really important. So this is a group of people that need our support. The recommendation here is to try and maintain the good range of services that we have and to build on that. And I would urge everybody to support the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Driscoll. Take the vote. All those in favour, please show. All those against? Abstentions? Thank you, carried. Thank you very much. Item 9, Berkshire Centre Maintenance and Refurbishment Project. This is the business case. Please turn to page 55 on your printed packs for this report. I will call upon Councillor Shipp to introduce this item and move the motion.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. I just want to announce today that what I'll be proposing will be amendment to the one published within the agenda. So just to kick off, the key points regarding the proposals is that we deliver a maintenance and refurbishment project at Bury Leisure Centre. The scheme will create the ability for Abbeycroft to repay a £500,000 loan back to the council over 6 years. The initial request tonight is to seek approval for £290,000 to undertake a survey and refine design, as well as facilities for the whole of the project cost. This will enable a cost-certain plan to be produced and approved by Cabinet and then Council in November. This is the same approach that has been taken across 2 other leisure centres in West Suffolk under the previous administration, and we shall follow the previous business plans and lessons learnt from those. A separate review of potential environmental upgrades will be undertaken during the process through the Council's Net Zero Fund, potentially funded, and be linked to the work at the next stage. The next stage of the project will be moving to cost certainty and will enable us to address a number of risks and get further input from users, the community and councillors through consultation. The current refurbishment plans would deliver a remodelling of the main entrance to the leisure centre, removing the existing reception desk and replacing it with a modern concierge type approach. A new cafe and soft play through the conversion of half of the leisure pool space, the creation of a splash pad with water play features in half of the leisure pool, and retention of the flumes. Users have already said that that's important to them and young families. The current village change area will see a light touch refurbishment of the cubicle area with more intrusive refurbishment on the poolside showers and toilets accommodations. Pool halls will be refurbished, replacing the movable floor, pool and boom in the activity pool, along with replacement of edging, replacement of balustrades and deep cleaning of all areas. The creation of a health and wellbeing area similar to that in Haverhill, which has shown great success, within the addition of 8 treatment rooms, along with the refurbishment of an additional studio. And the refurbishment of the gym and inclusion of an e-gym and the creation of a dedicated spin studio and retention of the college gym space. The refurbishment and enhancement of the health suite area, and also refurbishment of the sports hall, including new timber floor and decorating. And while all these works are ongoing, outstanding maintenance issues will be addressed through a coordinated plan. The project delivers exactly what we said we would do for maintenance, but over and above it delivers enhancements that have been requested and discussed through overviewing scrutiny and our residents. So to that end, Chair, I'd like to recommend that the Council approves the business case attached in Appendix A to the report number COU WS24012 for the maintenance and refurbishment of the leisure centre, to include the provision of additional funding subject to the output of full consultation to include users, local members, all members, future and potential users, to support the cost certainty work set out in paragraph 2.2 to be funded through the capital project budget as detailed in paragraph 2.3. The findings of the cost certainty work and the outcomes of the full public consultation to be reported back to Cabinet and subsequently moved to full council for debate and approval before any procurement contract for the refurbishment of the works of the centre are entered into. And 2, the council's section 151 officer make the necessary changes to the council's prudential indicators to reflect the direct cost to the council of the funding of the projects set out in 1 above. With that, Chair, I'd like to, as I say, propose those motions. Happy to take questions.
Thank you. Thanks, Councillor Shipp. Who wishes to second the motion? Councillor Waterman? Council will have noted that...
Speak or speak
Oh, sorry. Do you wish to reserve the right to speak?
Can I speak now, or I can speak now?
Yeah, you can speak now.
Okay, thank you. I will then. So apologies to those of you who've heard more than you want to hear of my voice already this evening. But I just wanted to say that I know the CEO of Abbeycroft, Warren Smith, and the chair of the Abbeycroft board, Sarah Howard, are very excited about the improvements we're making at the leisure centre. And I have to say, I'm very excited too, having gone for the first time ever to the one in Haverhill and seen the amazing transformation that was made to it. I'm looking forward to the similar transformation being made to the one here in Bury St Edmunds. So I'm very happy to second this motion, and I would like to reserve my right to speak at the end if I may. No, I can't. Oh, okay. Thank you, Chair.
Right. Council will have noted that an exempt appendix to this report is contained on this agenda. 17. Should any member wish to comment on the specific content of the exempt appendix, the meeting will need to be moved into private session. If any member feels the need to speak in private, please indicate now. Okay, thank you.
Just carry on then with the debate.
Yeah. Councillor Hoffensberger. and then Councillor Marks.
I'd like to propose an amendment to the proposal. I think we've got a copy of the amendment for council. Read it out. Okay, that's fine. Okay, can I speak to the amendment? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm pleased to propose the amendment before you today, which is fairly self-explanatory, but I'd just like to talk to the motivation behind it. I don't think that anyone in this chamber would disagree that investment in leisure facilities that provides opportunities for residents to improve their physical and mental health is a good idea and very much welcome. A good leisure offer has huge economic benefits, and we are lucky Bury Leisure Centre has performed well. We need to ensure that we provide the facilities to maximise the benefits and fulfil these objectives. Bury Leisure Centre opened 49 years ago, making it over 50 years old, and is in desperate need of investment, not least to ensure that the large list of maintenance issues listed on pages 79 to 82 are addressed. What I struggle with regards to this paper is the use of the term investment and what that really means. One of the definitions of the word investment is an act of devoting effort or energy to a particular thing with the expectation of a worthwhile result. We need to ensure this is exactly what we are doing, which brings me on to the first part of the amendment. Councils work best when they engage with residents and, more importantly, listen to them. Indeed, Sport England, with regards to their leisure facilities, state there should be a provision that is aligned to the needs of a community. A survey carried out in 2019 with regards to the current leisure facilities stated that the most popular activity was swimming, with the highest percentage using the pool for family fun swimming. Yet the proposals will actually reduce the amount of leisure swimming available, and with the paper stating that additional provision will be delivered by the new David Lloyd facility, but with membership priced at £169 per month for individuals, one would suggest that this is not an affordable option and limits accessibility. What the amendment is seeking to do is ask the people of Bury St Edmunds what they want in their leisure centre, rather than telling them what we think they want. Let's have a wide-ranging consultation that truly engages with members of the public, schools, further education establishments, sports and community groups. I expect that level of engagement is what Councillor Lucanik would have expected and wanted for the people in Brandon, Councillor Neil for the residents in Mildenhall, and indeed Councillor Dicker for the residents in Kentford and Moulton. The second part of the amendment addresses the importance of the subject by referring it to full council via Cabinet, not just to Cabinet. Let's not put a too low a price on the health and well-being of our residents. Let's be ambitious for our residents. Let's listen to our residents, and then let's deliver for our residents. It's what they deserve.
I have Councillor Marks, Councillor London and Councillor Major and Councillor Mason that wish to speak. Please keep it as short as possible. Councillor Marks.
Thank you. Yes, I think I will keep my comments very short because I know my colleagues are raising quite a lot of issues. But something that really disappoints me is many years ago, before I was a councillor, I challenged Deborah Cadman of this council because Haverhill Leisure Centre was shockingly underfunded. And as a consequence, the maintenance on that building was absolutely dire. And it was really quite a challenge to get Deborah to come over and agree that. And yet I read in this report tonight, on section A10, page 64, the project has a relatively high-risk profile at this stage, given the substantial maintenance backlog. I have to say this is remarkably disappointing and really adds to the weight that we should have gone with the Western Way project. But that's a different topic. But it is very disappointing. And do know, the chief executive's name is Warren Smythe, not Warren Smith, the gentleman who you know so well, Mr. Councillor Waterman.
Councillor London, please.
Thank you very much. I obviously welcome the input of funds into this Bury swimming pool complex, and absolutely no concerns with that. I use the complex quite a lot. I have. Sorry,
Continue,
Councillor Dicker, I didn't mean
Councillor
to interrupt you.
Continue.
I do use the facility quite a lot, as I do other facilities around the area with my 2 young children. So I speak with some authority when I say that the Pirate Pool, as it is known, is one of the best loved pools in the area. To get to a similar pool of a similar level, you have to go all the way to Oasis in Bedford to get something which has sort of the level of interest of the Pirate Pool. Having said that, when it comes to soft plays, one of the best soft plays in East Anglia is already here in a private soft play in Bury St Edmunds. So I am slightly confused that we are planning to fill in part of one of the more loved pools to replicate what already exists in private hands in the area.
Councillor Major. And then Councillor Mason. And Councillor
Thank you very much indeed. I wish to follow up on the question that I already asked in respect of the new administration being a little bit more ambitious for the people of Moreton Hall and wider Suffolk. It is a great worry, I think, to the people, to the residents of Moreton Hall when Cliff Waterman mentions that swimming pool facilities are indeed quite significant in Moreton Hall and in Suffolk as a whole. In the report, which we have obviously all had time to read on page 67, it very clearly states that under the new proposal of the administration opposite, under Councillor Waterman's leadership, we will now seek a net water loss of 88 square metre of water. Very clearly, just in B10 under swimming. We are indeed going to not only see that as a water loss, but if we took into account the David Lloyd Centre, which is a private facility that for many of my residents in Moreton Hall is well beyond their means of the budget, we would seek a much greater loss of water in Suffolk. It is incredibly disappointing when we have a Labour leader that is telling his residents that he is there to help them and support them through the crisis. They were used to paying £30 a week for their swimming and leisure facilities at Sports Direct. And we are now telling them you can at best get something at £50, let alone £166 at David Lloyd. I'm sorry, I don't think this is good enough.
Councillor Mason.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to touch upon something really quite simple. I'm really quite impressed with the athletics track. And for any budding athlete, there is an opportunity to really take their sport seriously. Tonight, we had representation from a member of the public who feels that in order to access high-quality swimming facilities, they have to go much further afield. I'm thinking, for me, this amendment to the motion encourages our council to firstly reflect upon the wishes of the people, that we're a listening council. But there was a consultation back in 2019, and I think this motion encourages the idea that, again, one last time, and I think it's relevant because I think it is high risk. Although I don't recognise the 8 million, I do recognise something like 6.6 million of 4.2 spent on getting whatever project was before, as far as it was, and then 2.4 in terms of the finishing costs. And then there's all the on-costs, and in the future, we've still faced at some point of having to replace this swimming pool. And I think for me, we're saddling our children with a greater debt. And, the risk isn't quite the same as it was when we spoke previously. So for me, in terms of ambition, In terms of catering, I can't see, although I love the Health and Wellbeing Centre in Haverhill, the sports centre, we're talking about a foyer, a cafe, a splash pad, plumes. I don't think there's anything here for a serious athlete. And I think it would draw in high numbers of serious swimmers. But let's at least give it back to the people to have one more say before we commit ourselves to what is essentially a very expensive refurbishment plan that doesn't give us high quality facilities and actually just kicks the ball down the park for another day. Thank you.
Councillor Ball, then Councillor Holder, Councillor Wakelam, and then Councillor Lindberg. Councillor Ball.
Thank you, Chair. Just before it goes any further, and we get to a voting stage, I'd be grateful if we could now have the proposal, the amendments to the proposal. I know B and C I follow, it's the earlier ones, because we had an amendment. We're being told that this amendment is the same as our amendment, but it didn't sound quite the same, and I would just like clarification before we do any voting, please.
I can speak.
Do I press? No. Thank you.
Hello. The legal officer, Teresa, is going to speak on what you just said, Councillor Ball.
Councillor Bull, we have noted that not the entire recommendation was read out, so before the vote, we'll be asking the Chair to read out the proposal in its entirety, which reflects the proposal that was submitted prior to Council.
Yes.
Saying that it is the same as.
Yes.
Yeah, and I will read it out. Okay. Is that after Councillor Ships?
Yeah, at the end.
At the
You
end.
need to come back before the vote.
Councillor Holder.
Councillor Wakefield.
No, he pressed it and taken it off. I think you should be on. You should be able to speak because it's come up as in mine as you can speak.
Well, I'm not 100% sure of the finer points of procedure in these things, but the amendment was made by the reader, Councillor Hopkins-Berger, and that should be seconded for me.
You want me to just...
Yeah, can right. Yeah, right. Okay, go on.
Further to that, I'd just like to mention that it's certainly true that the hub has been shelved, and that's fine. The fact is we've got papers in front of us going for a major refurbishment, and the CEO is ecstatic apparently. I think he's despaired, quite frankly, of the state of the facilities having to run, as would no doubt his staff who have to work there. However, having said that, the last administration, which I was a part of, embarked on a very enthusiastic scheme, which included the leisure centre. Let's stick with the leisure centre. And it took year after year after year. Okay, COVID, we're aware of it, but the cost escalations kept happening. We had to go back and revisit the business case and so on and so forth. By which time an election came back in last year, and it was decided by the current administration that we couldn't forward. So that's the whole hub, but it does still include the leisure centres. What I'd just like to ask, and obviously Councillor should be heavily involved in this, that the business case, the financial case, all the papers that we've got here, preliminary to ourselves, get alone a consultation with the public, is revisited on a regular basis so we're all informed of likely changes in facts and figures, because it obviously catches in the power. This certainly happened with Cornhill, which is unfortunately we've got a tenant in one or two units, but the cost of the runs there have not helped, and we've lost rent and we've lost interest, and it's not being a happy ship, even though we've got somebody in there and the living accommodation is let.
So just sort of putting a mark in the sand there that we really need to keep our close eye on all these figures going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Councillor Wakelam, Councillor Lindberg and Councillor Speed. Councillor Wakelam.
Thank you. I have.
Now.
Speak now.
Now.
Sorry.
Speak now.
Yes, I would like to support Councillor London. The thing that leaped out to me when I read through this, and basically I really support this. I was sad we had to give up the hub, but times change, economic circumstances change. We've got to refurbish this. The people of Bury St Edmunds deserve a refurbished centre. But the thing that leap out to me was, why are we getting rid of the pirate pool when it's so popular and replacing it with soft play? As a grandmother, I agree, with children who are very active, the other soft play, the private provision of soft play, is affordable and the kids love it. I think it would be really a really strong competitor of this. The pirate pool's great. Why are we getting rid of it? I do think that needs rethinking. Other than that, I'm obviously going to support this. I wouldn't object to more public consultation either. I think that's a good plan because the previous consultation did relate to the whole project. But I do feel that we need to get on with it. Councillor Holder's absolutely right. We don't want to be fiddling around for another 2 years or 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lindberg.
Thank you, Chair. I'm happy to see the proposal of the health and wellbeing rooms being included in this report, because I think that although swimming and the sports are crucial for the leisure centre, all the other work that goes on in the leisure centre for all the health and wellbeing pathways that are created there, these are just as important to our residents as swimming and other sports facilities. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Councillor Speed.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes, you're on.
Thank you, Chair. I'm obviously supportive of the amendment and would like to see a more ambitious plan, but just putting that to one side, can I clarify under risk and dependencies the relationship with Abbeycroft? Clearly they are key to this arrangement going forward. Am I right in it's not yet confirmed that they will be partnering into the future? And can I understand what that relationship contractually looks like going into the future? Because they underpin the whole financial case. Thank you.
Okay, is there any more questions at all? No? Okay, I'll go to Councillor Shipp. Do you wish to respond to the questions? The many questions? I presume I'm taking that as a yes.
Capture the points. I've been scribbling frantically. Councillor Speed, just to come back before I forget that one, Abbeycroft, yes, obviously are crucial to this, and Abbeycroft have been engaged through the whole process, in fact, have been leading in respect of delivering the proposals for the refurbishment and the upgrades to the facilities here. Their board are currently on board with the situation where we are presently. Obviously, that requires them to confirm anything subsequent to the £290,000 and the further work that's going to take place. So I just had a note from one of my colleagues that says, bear with me for a second because I've lost it. I think we've got a 15-year agreement with Abbeycroft, so we've got a lot of time left with them, but I will confirm that 100% about the amount of time left for you there. Coming back onto the conversation, the overall conversation, there's been numerous conversations about the maintenance of the facility. Unfortunately, yes, it was, it is in a state, and I think primarily that was due to the previous plans for the Western Way development, which meant that a lot of the maintenance works that would have been carried out on a regular basis weren't. The proposals in here have got a costed maintenance plan for the next 10 years, so that, you know, that are affordable with all of the issues that have been raised regarding that. I absolutely agree with you that the staff in particular and Abbeycroft themselves, it's not a extremely suitable facility to be working in forever, and the refurbishments and maintenance will tackle that and see a much brighter, happier facility for all to work in. Coming on to the conversations around the water and the swimming pool and loss of water there, it is a loss currently within the project of leisure pool facility. It is a proposal that had been put forward by Abbeycroft, who obviously are the operator and know their business. They've looked at the opportunities for a refurbishment of that area with splash facility, which they feel is the way to go. Once again, that as part of the amendments here will be reviewed and revisited. Happy to do that. I am keen, as has been said before, that we don't just kick this can down the road forever, and we do need to crack on to deliver the outcomes of, the changes to the facility, and through that consultation, which is key. I met briefly with Councillor Hopfensberger last week, and we've agreed to meet on a regular basis to discuss issues in my portfolio. This will be top of that list to be discussed, and I'll take on board everything seriously that comes from those conversations, and any other members or through the consultation process. I think it's essential we do that to deliver the best we can within the current situation we're in. So more than happy to do that, and we'll carry on doing that moving forward. Let's have a look back here then. Pirate pool we've mentioned. Yeah, soft play was raised. Once again, soft play has proved absolutely invaluable and extremely well used in both Newmarket Leisure Centre and Haverhill Leisure Centre. In fact, they've added to the facilities there and brought new customers in who've then not only just used those play areas for soft play, but gone on to use facilities elsewhere in the centre. So that's one of the reasons why that has been put into the facility. It's once again, it's a conversation that's emerged from Abbeycroft through their business knowledge and the demands and suggestions that they've had through their clients. But once again, we're going through a process where we will listen and react accordingly. Councillor Mason, you mentioned about consultation in reality, and and listening, and I'll reaffirm that is the case. Councillor Bull will have clarification. I do apologise for the splurged motions earlier on. We'll get them, but I do agree and have said to Councillor Hopfensberger, yes, we're more than happy for those to take place. In fact, they are absolutely sensible and logical. I'm hoping I haven't missed anything off there. If anyone sticks their hand up, I've got your names here. If I've missed something, stick it up quickly. Other than that, Chair, I will shut up.
All right, thank you. Because I've got an eye problem, in other words, the writing is, the letters are too small, I'm going to ask Teresa, the monitoring officer, to read it out. Thank you.
So to clarify, the substantive motion is different to that in the agenda, and it is recommended that Council approves 1, the business case attached at Appendix A to report number COU WS 24012 for the maintenance and refurbishment of the Bury St Edmunds Leisure Centre to include A, provision of additional funding subject to output of full public consultation to include existing users, local members and future potential users, financed by borrowing on an invest-to-earn-save basis, funded from financial returns from the uplift in centre performance. This is furthered to the page 43, agenda item 9, Council 16th July 2024, COUWS 24012, £6.2 million capital budget, approved as part of the 2024 to 2025 budget and Council Tax Setting Report CABWS 24010, paragraph 6.3. B, support the cost certainty work set out in paragraph 2.2 to be funded by the capital project budget as detailed in paragraph 2.3. C, the findings of the cost certainty work and the outcome of the full public consultation is reported to Cabinet and approved by full council before any procurement contract for the refurbishment works on the centre are entered into. 2, the Council's Section 151 officer make the necessary changes to the Council's prudential indicators to reflect the direct cost to the Council of funding the project budget set out in 1 above. Now take the vote.
Thank you very much. I will now take the vote. Yep. Yes, Councillor Mason.
Thank you, Mr. for reading that out. I do appreciate it. Really hard to absorb. At County, when there's a change to a motion, we have a printed paper. I'm disappointed that there wasn't time before this meeting where we could have all have had a printed paper. It was really hard to absorb. I think it sounded all right from my point of view, but it's very hard to absorb. And I would like plea in future instances that we have a printed copy of any motion if it's different to that which is published in the papers. Thank you.
Right. Noted. I will now take the vote. Can you put your mic on, please? All right. Councillor Griffiths.
Thank you very much. I'm not meaning to hold up things at all, in fact, for quite soon, but just to speed things up for all of us, can I just clarify that the amendment made, well, by the administration is effectively the same as the one that was being tabled by Rebecca, because it was quite difficult to take on that. But if you can give me assurances that the amendment effectively says exactly the same thing, that we amended. Leisure Centres and Bury. But if the amendments are effectively the same things, there's no need for us, and I'd be more than happy personally to support it.
I can confirm the recommendation proposed was proposed based on an amendment proposed by Councillor Hoffensberger, and she kindly shared it with the Chair and Leader earlier this evening. No, it's not an amendment, it's a substantive motion that was amended by the proposer.
Hold on. Can we have quiet, please, so we can hear what's being said? Thank you.
There is no requirement to vote or second the amendment. The proposer amended his substantive motion, and you're voting on the substantive motion that was proposed.
I hope that's clear. Yep. Okay, I'll now take the vote. Quiet, please. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'll now take the vote. All those in favour, please show. Thank you. Yep.
Yep, any against?
Is there any against? No. Is there any abstentions? Okay, that's carried. Thank you very much. Item 10, Old Inn Road, Bury St Edmunds, options appraisal. Please turn to page 85 in your printed packs for this report. I call upon Councillor Hine to introduce this item and move the motion.
Thank you, Chair. The proposals in front of Council tonight, including the Bury Leisure Centre scheme, is part of a wider 15 million investment in recreation, community, leisure improvements and economic benefits that will particularly target young people. It creates a complementary and linked destination zone of facilities and services, including the surrounding...
Sorry, Councillor Hine. Can you pull your mic down, please, towards your... Thank you.
Sorry, did nobody hear any of that? I can hear myself, so I'm not aware. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I won't go back after all of that. I'm hoping that you heard that. Thank you, Victor. But importantly, they help deliver the strategic priorities of thriving communities and sustainable growth. In particular, the Olding Road scheme includes the former NHS warehouse building being altered for uses in support of the local economy and sustainable growth. For the former depot section of the building, the council has received a provisional proposal for a trampoline and virtual reality experience supporting our thriving community's priority. In addition, the baling shed will be retained and refurbished, expected for council storage use, subject to obtaining planning permission, of course. Currently, the site, as has been said earlier, costs the council £300,000 a year in holding costs, including security. The proposals would not only stop this annual cost, but carry out much needed work, such as replacing the roof, subject to surveys, and removal of fuel tanks, as well as clearing up of contamination from previous historic uses of the site before council ownership. It is an adaptable space, and as the market changes, so will the site. But anyone who goes past it needs improvement now to bring it back into use. The recommended option has a total project cost of up to £7 million, which includes the £1 million already agreed in the previous decision on the Western Way Development project, related to the decommissioning and enabling works at the former depot end section. This option is showing a potential initial break-even position after borrowing over 10 years, but with a net return after borrowing expected as market rents increase during that period and the life of the building extended beyond 10 years. The options appraisal has considered a wide variety of potential uses and development options to meet the council's strategic priorities, whilst balanced against retaining ownership of the site for longer-term opportunities in the delivery of the council's priorities, providing short-term flexibility to meet a challenging and changing economic market. The need also for financial certainty, lower capital investment options, income certainty, and the reduction of ongoing holding costs. Remediation of the site due to the age of the structure and materials, and addressing any contamination caused by previous historic uses, and also, of course, planning regulations and guidance. These proposals before you tonight make fiscal sense and, more importantly, bring much needed facilities and support for our community and economy that benefits West Suffolk as a whole. Investing in the site and seeking tenants also gives us the option to further invest in roof solar PVs from our Solar for Business schemes. The project team are currently exploring the business case for solar PV on the site, subject to, of course, the demands for power of the potential site tenants and surrounding demands. And I recommend the proposals to full council. And I'm happy to take questions. Thank you.
Can I have who wishes to speak? Who wishes to second the motion for us to ask people to speak? Do you wish to reserve your right to speak? Right, okay. You may do so now if you want.
Yes.
Oh, just second, sorry. I misheard that. Apologies. Who wishes to speak on this item? No, thank you very much. Councillor Hine, do you wish to respond? Sorry, Councillor Hine, do you wish to say anything more?
Sorry, I'm getting confused with the red and the green this evening. No, I don't think there's anything else I can add. I was just expecting a question and my pen was poised and there wasn't one. But clearly everybody has read the proposals. I think it was quite comprehensive and we had thoroughly investigated all the options for the site before bringing this before you. So I can say no more than it is my recommendation, and thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much. I will now take the vote. All those in favour, please show.
Those against?
All those against? want me to give out the votes?
Oh, any abstentions?
Any abstentions?
Carried.
It's carried. Thank you very much. Item 11. Annual Scrutiny Report 2023-2024. Please turn to page 43 in your printed packs for this report. This report is for noting and no decision is required. The Council's constitution requires the Council receives an annual report from the scrutiny committees. As Councillor Bolton, Chair of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee, is unable to join us this evening, I call upon Councillor Rushbrook, Vice Chair of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee, to present the report. Councillor Rushbrook.
Just hopefully everyone's pleased with the result, the report, and they've read it through. And if any questions, let me know.
Are there any questions for Councillor Rushbrook?
No.
No? Okay. As Councillor Armitage, Chair of the Performance and Scrutiny Committee, is also unable to join us this evening, I call upon Councillor Stennett, Vice Chair of the Performance and Audit Scrutiny Committee, to present the PASC element of the report. Councillor Stennett.
Thank you, Chair. Obviously, as you know, under Article 7 of the Council's Constitution, the Performance and Audit Scrutiny Committee has to report annually to the full Council about their work. The committee and subcommittees have evaluated quarterly financial and performance reports, as well as financial resilience reports. We also have a health and safety subcommittee that has monitored accidents and wider health and safety compliance. In the past year, Performance and Audit Scrutiny Committee has considered measures to support the welfare of staff, budget reports, external audit reports, quarterly performance reports, co-opting of non-elected independent members. That's only a sample of the work what we've undertaken. A full list can be found on page 109. May I thank members from both sides of this House in undertaking this important work what the committee does. On behalf of the whole committee, I would like to thank the officers and all their hard work, long hours spent putting these invariable reports together. I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Are there any questions?
No, Chair.
No? Thank you. Remember, this is report is for noting, so there is no need for a vote. Thank you. Item 12. West Suffolk Council Constitution, proposed amendments. Please turn to page 115 in your printed pack for this report. I call upon Councillor Kelly to introduce this item and move the motion.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, the Constitution Review Group periodically meets to review the ongoing effectiveness of our Constitution and look at any areas that could be developed further to improve the way the Council makes decisions while ensuring the processes are efficient and transparent. The group last met on 19th of June to consider some amendments to the Constitution. They're detailed in the report, and I propose that the recommendations set out on page 115 of the report are accepted. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Who wishes to second the motion? Councillor Smith? Councillor Dave Smith, sorry.
Happy to second, Chair.
Does anyone wish to speak on this item? No? Councillor Kelly, do you wish to add anything further?
No, thank you, Chair. I think the amendments are clear and the reasons for making the amendments equally clear. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I will now take the vote. All those in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. Thank you. Item 13, use of Chief Executive urgency powers, issues of Section 91 notice. This is for noting, no decisions are required. I call upon Councillor Waterman to introduce this item, which is contained as a narrative item within the agenda itself. Councillor Waterman.
Thank you, Chair. I'm sure everyone's read the narrative item. Just to reaffirm to Council that the Chief Executive takes the use of urgency powers very seriously and only uses them when they're absolutely necessary, which was the case in this particular instance. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Councillor Waterman? Okay. This item is for noting, so there's no need for a vote. Item 15, any other urgent...
No, 14.
14, sorry, I've gone too quick. Sorry, item 14, motions of notice. You will have noted that the agenda, that 2 motions on the notice has been submitted for consideration, had been submitted for consideration of this at this meeting. I have been informed by the proposers of each motion that these have been withdrawn and neither will be considered tonight. Moving on to item 15, which I quickly did before. Is there any other urgent business? We have no items up of other urgent business to consider on this occasion. I will now announce that business is conducted for this evening.
Concluded.
Sorry, concluded. What did I say? What did I say? Oh.